Okay, bonjour. So yesterday we started learning about les pronoms, so pronouns. And the key thing that we learned was, what is a pronoun? A pronoun replaces a noun. Okay, so I hate books. We want to replace the word books. It's a noun. We replace it with a pronoun. I hate them. Okay, so we use them to avoid repetition. So for example, I love France. I go to France every year. France is my favorite destination. Instead of continuously saying France, we say I love it. I go there. Okay, so we use pronouns all the time in our own language. We just need to learn how to do them in French. So one of the first ones that we learned back in first year were subject pronouns. So subject pronouns replace the name of a person or a place. So Paul loves France. Paul loves to go on holidays to Paris. Paul travels. So we replace the name Paul with he. Okay, so like I said, you learned them back in first year. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle, plural. Okay, so a subject pronoun just replaces the name of a person or a place. So Marie goes to the shop every day. She goes to the shop at 12 o'clock. Paris is a lovely city. It is really big. Okay, so you just replace the name of a person or a place with the subject pronoun. Lovely. Okay, then we moved on to direct object pronouns. So they replace the direct object of a sentence. So I hate horror films. I hate them. She hates popcorn. Okay, she hates it. He hates Sophie. He hates her. So you're replacing the direct object of a sentence. I give the books to the teacher. I give them to the teacher. So here are the direct object pronouns that we learned yesterday. Me, te, le, la, nous, vous, and les. So it just means me, you, him or it, her or it, us, ye, them. Obviously just beware that me, te, le, la will become M apostrophe, etc. if they come before a verb that starts with a vowel. So they love me, ils m'adorent. Okay, it's an easy example. More examples of the direct object pronouns that we looked at yesterday. Je vois le garçon, je le vois. So I see the boy, it's the boy. I want to say I see him. I want to use a direct object pronoun to replace the boy. So le. If it was I see the girl, je vois la fille. So I see her, je la vois. I see the films every evening. Je vois les films tous les soirs. I see them every evening. Je les vois tous les soirs. Okay? Hope that's alright. Then finally we learned that if you, well first of all anyway, just going back to the direct object pronoun, you always place it before the verb. Then we finally learned that in the passé composé, normally we've always learned that in the passé composé, if the verb takes the helping verb être, you only make it agree if it takes the helping verb être. You make the past participle agree. However, if in the passé composé you have a direct object pronoun coming before the helping verb avoir, then you can make the past participle agree. Okay, so I told you we're not going to dwell on this rule too much. It's not going to affect your written work. Okay, so let's move on to more pronouns. Indirect object pronouns are the next ones. Now remember, you've just learned a direct object pronoun replaces the direct object of a sentence. I love films. She loves popcorn. We love France. Okay, and the direct object pronouns are me, te, le, la, nous, vous, les. The indirect object pronouns are something similar. They look kind of similar to the direct object pronouns. So what are indirect object pronouns? Well, an indirect object pronoun replaces the indirect object of a sentence. Now, in the name of God, don't get too bogged down with the name indirect object. Like, what is that in a sentence? It's actually way easier the way I'll show you how to identify them. The indirect object pronouns are used in a sentence when you have a verb followed by the preposition à grave. Now, I've told you that so many times before that some verbs in French are followed by the preposition à grave and some are followed by the preposition de. Okay, and I must give you a list of them. That'll be my next mission after this. So, for example, the verb parler is followed by the preposition à grave when you're talking about speaking to someone. So, for example, I speak to my mom every night. Je parle à ma mère tous les soirs. So parler à, to speak to. So I speak to my mom. So when you see a sentence and it's to someone, okay, to me, to you, to him, to her, to ye, to us, to them, then that's an indirect object pronoun. So to me, okay? So you'll know when to use an indirect object pronoun when you have a verb followed by the preposition grave and then a person, okay? So parler à, to speak to, téléphoner à, to ring, to telephone someone. So if I want to say I ring my mother, je téléphone à ma mère. Okay, and if I want to replace it with an indirect object pronoun, je lui téléphone. I ring her. So that word her, lui, I put it before the verb. Interdire à, to forbid, to ban people from doing something. Okay, so if you're ever in doubt about whether to use an indirect object pronoun or not, have a look at the verb in the sentence. If the verb is followed by the preposition grave, then you can use an indirect object pronoun. Okay? So, the more examples we look at, the easier this will become. Examples of indirect object pronouns in English and in French before I teach it to you fully. So, the first example. Elle parlera à Paul. She will speak to Paul. So, we've just learned that the verb parler is followed by the preposition grave when you're talking about speaking to someone. Instead of saying she will speak to Paul, I just want to say she will speak to him tomorrow morning. So I'm going to replace to him with an indirect object pronoun, and that's lui. So elle lui parlera. Okay? Even if you never use these, but if you read them in a comprehension, now you're going to identify what they mean. It'll make it easier to know what translates as. Je téléphone à mes parents. I ring my parents. So it's téléphoner à when you're talking about ringing someone. So I don't want to say I ring my parents. I want to say I ring them. So I change them to leur. Je leur téléphone. Okay? So remember, you're talking about verbs followed by the preposition grave followed by a person. Okay? So here are the indirect object pronouns. Me, te, lui, nous, vous, leur. So I told you they're very like the direct object pronouns. Okay, they look very like them. So me, to me. Whereas the indirect object, the direct object that we learned earlier, me just means me. Whereas in the indirect object pronoun, it means to me. Okay, so there is a difference. To you. Lui can mean to him or to her. So that's easy. We only have one to learn there. Nous, to us. Vous, to ye or to you, and leur, to them. So me, te, lui, nous, vous, leur. Okay? Now, I have more examples. J'envoie les cadeaux à mes amis. So here I'm using the verb envoyer followed by the preposition grave, to send to. So I send presents to my friends. So here I have a verb, a preposition grave, and people. So envoyer à, to send to. So instead of saying I send presents to my friends, I want to say I send them presents. Okay, I send presents to them. Okay, to them. So je leur envoie les cadeaux. So to them, I go back to my list, that's leur, and I put it before my verb. So je leur envoie les cadeaux. Now using that in an exam even once would just look super impressive to the examiner. Another example, je dis l'histoire à maman. So it's dire à, to tell to. So you're telling something to someone. So I tell the story to mom. I tell the story to her. So I want to replace to mom with the indirect object pronoun to her. So je lui dis l'histoire. Okay, so I tell the story to her. Right. Here's a list of verbs that are followed by the preposition grave that you will commonly come across. These verbs will help you to know when to use the indirect object pronoun. So as you can see, I've highlighted in purple the ones that would be, I suppose, good for you to watch out for, or ones that you could use yourself in your own written work. Particularly, these could be useful now in a diary entry. So, dire à, to say to. Demander à, to ask. You could be saying, oh dear diary, what a nightmare. Last night I asked my father, or I asked him, to let me go to the match. Donner à, to give to. I gave her the homework, instead of saying I gave the homework to the teacher. Envoyer à, to send to. I sent her a gift. Interdire à, to forbid. So it could be Mes parents m'ont interdit. My parents forbid me. So you're still using an indirect object pronoun there. Parler à, to speak to. Further down we have répondre à, to respond to. So it could be je lui ai répondu. I replied to her. Okay, to her. Téléphoner à, to ring. Okay, so they're just an example. Again, you don't want to be learning all of them. Pick 4 or 5 of them and focus on them. So I'm going to give you more examples here. So, parler à, to speak to someone. J'ai parlé à mon père hier soir. I spoke to my dad last night. I want to say I spoke to him. So to him, if I go back to my list, it's lui. Okay, so forward to my example. Je lui ai parlé hier soir. So I place my indirect object pronoun before my verb. Donner à, to give to. So giving something to someone. J'ai donné un coup de main à mes parents. I gave a helping hand to my parents. So I want to say I gave a helping hand to them. Even though I don't have to them written down on the translation, you know what I mean. So to them, go back to your list, leur. Okay, so je leur ai donné un coup de main. I gave a helping hand to them, or I gave them a helping hand. So remember, you use an indirect object pronoun only when you have a verb followed by the preposition à grave followed by people. And it means to me, to you, to him, to her, to ye, to us, to them. Me, te, lui, nous, vous, leur. Okay? So I hope that's okay. I'm going to leave it at that one for today. So I want you to wrap your head around the indirect object pronouns. Be patient, bear with them. They will become easier.